Hello, my friends. Welcome to the movement with Dan Unitas. Today, I wanted to talk about the topic of men feeling isolated and men feeling lonely. So, I've been in the men's support group space for a few years now. I regularly give men advice on all manner of topics that are bothering them. There's some topics that are very common that you encounter a lot. Divorce, parenting, but loneliness is something that a lot of men report, and a lot of men kind of come to a men's support group looking for answers on. They want to connect with other men. I think that this is absolutely very natural, for men to want to have male companionship and to get advice. Typically, when a man is coming to a male support group, they are at a very, oftentimes it's like an emergency in their life and they really need some support fast. I think women might be more inclined to reach out and connect with other women much earlier in their kind of process of struggling with a certain issue. So, but when men kind of reach out, it's kind of they have to cross some sort of mental barrier and say, I really need help. I really need to connect with some other men because I'm floundering and I'm struggling to keep my head above water. So, first thing I want to say is it's very natural and it's very common. And I think one thing that I've learned from men being in the men's support group space is that just knowing that other people have experienced what you're going through, it makes a massive difference. It really has a calming effect to realize I'm not alone. Other people have gone through this, and if they've gone through it and they've been able to struggle with it and make progress within their lives, and then that somehow that gives me hope. And it also just feels good to have some solidarity with other people, to know other people have kind of gone through this similar thing. So I think it's very important, if you are feeling lonely, if you are feeling isolated, seek out men's groups, seek out men's support groups online, and seek that's very convenient because you can kind of just log in whenever and attend groups virtually. I don't think that there's a massive difference necessarily between seeing men in person and seeing men online. But there's also, I know, a lot of men's support groups just generally out there, in the physical world as well. On the topic of isolation and loneliness, that being very prominent within men's lives in our country, I think that's I do have an opinion on that, and I think it's actually maybe not the most inspiring or positive opinion on it. I think that a lot of men have this conception in their head that there's so many men out there that are very gregarious and very have these robust friend groups that they're going out, they're playing golf, they're going to the bar, they're hanging out with one another, they're watching football together, and they're also having these a connection where they're able to talk about openly about the problems in their lives. And I think that for me, in my experience, I'm in my 40s. I think that is actually, I think we are a lot of times men are deceiving themselves and thinking that there's something like that out there that's not really there. I don't know what necessarily gives us that impression, but I think maybe it's film, TV shows, whatever it is, where you think that the world is a certain way, but it actually is not. And I don't want to come off as a doomsayer or just like a negative Nancy there. But I do honestly think that a lot of times when you're an adult, when you're in your 30s and 40s and beyond, 50s, 60s, whatever, sometimes like we get this impression in our head that there's a lot of most men have a lot of friendships, and I think that's actually not the case. I think it's very natural for men to be get involved in their career. Obviously, that takes up a lot of time, but also their family life, right? If you're married and you have children, typically you have a lot of stuff on the schedule. You've got a lot of things, a lot of social events that you're kind of you feel responsible to going to, kids sporting events, family events. You got graduation parties, weddings, all of these different things that you're kind of going to. So you're effectively heads down within your marriage and your career, and you don't really have a lot. It's a lot of men report that it's very difficult to start male friendships and find ways to connect. So that's my that is where I stand, and kind of like with the reality of the situation. So for me, I don't really have these lofty expectations that I'm going to go out and just jump into this great friend group. I think we need to take friendship where we can find it, and but not have these expectations that there's these male clubs where you can kind of just hang out and you have all of these different friendships that just spring up from that. On the topic of kind of going out there and meeting more men and connecting with more men. Again, I strongly stress that men, if you're feeling this way, go out and find a male support group. That's a great opportunity to find, support and encouragement and, have that sense of community with other men. And there's also a great opportunity to connect with men where you can talk about real things. If you're having issues in your marriage, if you're going through a divorce, separation, whatever, if you're going through any sort of, addiction and you need support, a male support group is I strongly encourage you to look into that. Another thing I recommend frequently to people is going to do some sort of like martial arts, like Krav Maga, Muay Thai, or Jiu Jitsu. Inherently, when you go to a community like that or a gym like that, it's going to give you a sense of social community. So inherently, when people are rolling around on the ground with each other, or people are pounding pads and choking and defending against different moves with each other, you're getting into a very kind of somewhat intimate setting. You're getting very close and upfront with people. Typically in that setting, when you're punching pads with somebody and taking turns and you're training with somebody, you develop close bonds with them. So, and these a lot of times these friendships don't necessarily leave the gym. A lot of times you show up and you chat with the guy you chat with the crowd for 15 minutes or 20 minutes before class. There's men and women there of all different types of ages. You just go, you show up and be friendly and accepting of other people. And then typically people joke. They ask you, generally surface level. You kind of get the understanding of the person's job and what their life's about, and then you can just kind of riff. And for me, honestly, I feel that having some sense of community, even though it's not super in depth, I'm not going to these people's kids' graduation parties or going to their house or hanging out with them. Typically it stays in the gym, but that is a certain level of friendship and a certain level of community. When you go to the gym, you can kind of have that in your life and feeling less lonely. So I think it's important to understand that relationships outside of work and outside of the home, they don't have to be this massive big thing in your life to make a big impact on your feeling like you're not alone. So from the loneliness standpoint, I strongly encourage people to pursue that as well. Another thing in that can isolate us as men is a feeling of, if we get too in our head about the state of the world, or we get disgruntled about how things are going, or get caught up in political things, or just have a feeling that the world is against us or the world is a bad place. I think it's very important to take a serious look at yourself and ask yourself, am I pessimistic about the world? Are my views negative? When I think about women, what is my perception? Do I think women are positive and there's a lot of great women out there, or do I think that women are negative and there's a lot of terrible ideas and hatred towards men or things like that? If you have a mindset that people out there are not going to be welcoming towards you, that's going to limit you and very much make you feel even more isolated and lonely. Same thing with your perception of men. Are you viewing other men as being in competition with you? Are you viewing other men as jerks, or that are mean or bullies, or that really are not looking for male connections? Then that's going to affect that's going to make you feel very isolated and not make you feel like there's any hope. So it's very important to acknowledge and take accountability for your perception of the world. If you are somebody that views the world as there's a world of abundance and that there's many men out there and there's many women out there that are kind and wanting to connect, then that's going to massively increase your chances of being able to have genuine connection with people, because you're opening the door for it rather than keeping the door slammed. Another thing I want to touch on just briefly would be the notion of a lot of men get wrapped up in looking at pornography. And my stance on looking at pornography is you are effectively, it's like, let me give you an example. Like if you were a man and you were, there was a window into a woman's changing room, and you decided to sneak a peek and kind of look through the curtain, and you're kind of consuming women without their knowledge and looking at them changing. And then, then later on, you walk around to the front of the building, and you see these women coming out of the gym or whatever it is. Would you feel inclined to walk up to them and talk to them on a level playing field, like you're their equal? Most likely, you would not, because you would feel like a pervert. You would feel that you kind of took something from them. You were looking at them in an unrespectable way, consuming them and treating them like they were kind of a piece of meat and not really respecting who they are. So that's maybe a silly example, but at the end of the day, I do find that consuming pornography can put you in a mind state of sexualizing women, objectifying them, and not allowing yourself to feel. I think it inherently has there's like an internalized guilt there. There's an internalized shame that would prevent you from engaging with women in just a friendly manner. It doesn't have to be a sexualized manner at all, but just feeling like you can approach a woman and have a conversation, be friendly, ask, and kind of converse with them, and not feel any sort of like internalized intimidation. I think that's also something that men need to really think on and take accountability for, because if you are consuming porn, I think that puts you in a mindset of objectifying and sexualizing women. And then when you meet women in real life, it is going to be detracting from your ability to just be calm and be accepting of other people. At the end of the day, I think a big thing for overcoming isolation and the feeling of being lonely is leveling up yourself and leveling up your self-worth, leveling up your self confidence, and being able to go out in there. If you are accepting of yourself, then inherently it's going to be much easier to be accepting of other people. People that are insecure and not accepting of themselves are often seeking validation from other people. They don't really think highly of themselves, and so they effectively want to get validation from other people. Hey, I'm a good person, or I'm going to try to impress you with my accomplishments, or I'm going to try to, I'm basically going to be a tryhard in my conversing with you to get you to like me, because I don't really like myself. And so they're looking for that validation seeking behavior. If you are confident in yourself and you like yourself and you feel like, hey, I'm a decent person with decent values, then you can walk up to anybody, because you're not trying to sell them on anything, and you're not trying to get anything from them. You can approach somebody with curiosity and a genuine nature and just say, hey, hey, we're at this class, we're hanging out. How was your day? How was your week? What are you up to? Male or female? It doesn't matter. You can just accept people as they are, show them respect, show them that you're not trying to sell them on anything, and show them that you're not coming across as needy. You're just coming across as genuine, one genuine person trying to connect with another genuine person. And that's the formula for easing, being charismatic and just kind of easing into a casual conversation with people and striking up a conversation. So just to recap, I think I want to make it very clear. A lot of men, it's very common for men to struggle with being lonely and feeling like they don't have anybody that they can connect with. I strongly recommend for men, as well as I would recommend for women, if you're feeling this way, there's a lot of support groups out there online. I would strongly recommend that you investigate them, because you wishing the situation was different but not actively doing anything about it is not going to yield anything. So you have to be proactive and say, I'm lonely. This is a real thing. My mental health, my overall sense of well-being is impacted by this every single day. I'm tired of it. I'm going to make a change. You got to put yourself out there and get out there into the world. And I promise you that you'll be happy that you did, and you'll be kicking yourself for not having done it sooner. So if you're feeling lonely, start making conscientious change and be proactive about it. I think I'll leave it at that. This has been The Movement with Dan Unitas. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your viewership. And it sounds so corny. But if you like what I'm talking about, please like and subscribe. And I'd love to see your comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.